AOC has broken her silence following that humiliating performance at the Munich Security Conference. The Democrat took to her Instagram account to clear the air about her stumbles and mumbles during the conference last week. But instead of explaining why she didn't know basic geography, history, or current international politics, she doubled down and justified her word salad answers.
If you think that I don't understand foreign policy because out of hours of discourse about international affairs, I pause to think about one of the most sensitive geopolitical issues that currently exist on Earth, I'm afraid the issue's not my understanding, but rather the problem is perhaps you've gotten adjusted to a president that never thinks before he speaks.
Online commentators use this as yet another opportunity to mock the politician. Fox News' Joe Concha said AOC is not taking the reception to her Munich performance well, at all. And the maturity is off the charts, isn't it? Others pointed out the bizarre snoring in the background of her video. Podcast host Chat Prather said AOC trying to convince you that she's a foreign policy expert while someone snores beside her is peak 2026 idiocracy. Commentator Jeffrey Mead was in hysterics over the video.
All right, let me stop. No, sweetheart, it's not the fact that you took your time to think. It's that you took your time to think, said, I think for like 20 seconds straight, and then proceeded to give a word salad answer that did not answer the question. It would have been different if she said, okay, give me like 10, 15 seconds. Let me think about that, and then I'll give you an answer. And then she gave a competent, coherent answer. That's not what happened. She mumbled, I think, for like 20 seconds straight and then said nothing.
And Republican Senator John Kennedy jumped on the bandwagon, comparing AOC's performance to Kamala Harris's word salads. He said, the Congresswoman is kind of like Vice President Kamala Harris, but with more bartending experience. AOC then clapped back, saying, my having been a waitress makes me 1,000 times more qualified to govern on behalf of working people than whatever lifelong politician nonsense you've swung from your whole career. Why should working people vote for you if this is what you think of them? Megyn Kelly then weighed in, saying, lots of people have cocktail waitressed. If one does it and goes on to become US Congresswoman, it's part of a great origin story most would admire. When, however, one does it and remains ignorant and then parades that ignorance on the world stage, we look at her and want a margarita. The infamous word salad that kicked this wave of criticism off occurred in Munich at the Security Conference, where AOC was unable to answer a question about US foreign policy.
Would and should the US actually commit US troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point, and we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
American war historian Victor Davis Hanson blasted AOC, saying she makes Kamala Harris look like Socrates.
In the social media circles this week they asked her what would be the American reaction to a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. And she has a couple of tics. She always talks about herself. Personally, in my opinion, as far as it concerns me, we don't want to hear all that. It made Kamala Harris, as I said to Jack, sound like Socrates or Cicero.
No.
All she had to do was just take 1 minute, go on Wikipedia if you have to go anywhere else, and just memorize what the canned U.S. response is.